The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
I told you, Leo, I was never doing this again.
Well, I'm sorry, you have to be here.
We're on now?
Guys, welcome to the ring and all other
This
sports. Yes.
Oh, guys, look at that
camera
one.
shut up for these guys. Yeah. Like, oh, no.
Look that
Nick's
way.
going to get all mad, guys.
Okay.
Guys, we only have 56 minutes to go. Come on.
Yeah. Listen,
Oh no.
Let's get
we're
serious.
here to do a tribute show to you, all your friend Kevin the Butcher Hughes.
Absolutely.
Tonight's guest,
So we're gonna
Sonny
be
Goodspeed,
serious?
Maverick Wild, fabulous Johnny Vegas. Guys.
Yay.
Let me just say one thing, and then I want you guys to take over. This was in the Wrestling Observer.
Wait, before you do that, do you want to say anything about Jimmy Rave? I didn't know.
Yeah, Jimmy Rave, professional wrestler, the age of 39, passed away today. No one knows why yet. It hasn't been
39
out there.
years old, that's
But he
sad.
had both his legs amputated recently. He had one of his arms amputated.
Oh, my goodness.
Jimmy was a really good guy. I got to know him a little bit when I did the Ring of Honor shows, at the end. Rest in peace, Jimmy.
I never met him, but it's sad when anybody 39 years old
Wow.
passes away. So
Absolutely.
that's rough.
All right, so this was in the Wrestling Observer. Kevin the Butcher Hughes, a longtime New England-based wrestler, and then an independent promoter. We'll talk about that right after this.
Yes.
Passed away this past week at the age of 62. Hughes was one of the first students when Killer Kowalski opened up his wrestling school in the late 70s and was a regular on Kowalski shows and other indies for years. He often teamed with Jeff Bruiser Costa. He, on occasion, did WWF enhancement work at television. He also did an IWE tour of Japan in 1980 as a tag team partner of Killer Krupp and worked the top stars of that promotion like Russell Kimura, Animal Hamaguchi, and the mighty Inoue. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but
Close enough.
all right.
Yeah.
He worked early in his career.
They're not listening, so.
All right.
Yeah.
He worked early in his career in California for Anton Leon and in the Vancouver territory for Al Tomko. I read earlier also that he was a roommate of a young Al Perez when he was in California. He also wrestled as
Poor Al.
Killer Kevin Carlson in Quebec and once had a headline match at the Paul Soave Arena in Montreal against Edouard
Cop out the air.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Cop out the air.
Yeah, I told him I was going to mess that up.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Canadian French do it. I should
So
know.
I thought that was nice that the Wrestling Observer knowledge,
sure.
Kevin. Can you tell me a little bit about his promoting?
Yeah, this is how it went. Ready?
How did it went, Sonny? How did it went?
This is how it went.
How
This is
does
a
it went?
cigarette. I'm gonna pantomime a cigarette here. Hey, Jeff, there's a nice Knights of Columbus down in there in Peabody. That was him.
Yeah, nice.
That was him promoting.
That was good promoting.
Oh, And then
As long as
and
Jeff
then-
got the building, he
Did
was the
Jeff get the
promoter.
building? Yep. Because he was from that area. He was from Salem, Peabody, so he would go, oh, yeah, there's a tall, nice big ceilings. Oh, beautiful.
You do him like so good.
It's
Honestly,
Spent a lot of time
scary
with
good.
him.
Scary
Oh,
good.
yeah.
But
A lot of
guys,
time with
why
him,
don't
so.
you just talk stories? Because I just want to sit back and laugh, man.
How much time do we have?
I
We
just,
might have to do Potter.
I just,
do it two-part.
I just remember literally a quarter of a mile down the street from here at the high school, we ran a show one time, and I don't know what happened, but Jeff threatened to kill the principal
Yes.
on the microphone.
Yes, I remember running that show, yeah. I don't remember what happened, but
Like he was swearing and everything. It was great.
Wow.
it was the first time I met Kevin. Jeff and Monica had invited me over for like Thanksgiving. It was one of the holidays, Thanksgiving, I think. And Kevin showed up. So I was all excited to meet Kevin because I'd seen tapes of him, heard Jeff talk about him forever. And then we decided to walk to the local gas station. We were going to get some soda. Kevin and I are in front. I think Jeff and Dave are in front and behind us, whatever.
Dave-O?
Dave-O, yeah,
Okay.
DJ Barron. Kevin reaches into his pocket, looks at me, pulls out a box cutter, like a box cutter.
Yeah.
And he goes, he slides it open. He goes, You never know if you take a spill. And then he just puts it back in his pocket. And I go, literally the first words he ever said to me besides hello. That was what he said to me. He goes, he pulls it out, slides the whole blade open. You never know if you
Never
take
know.
a spill.
See how
And then
impactful.
Because Kevin wants to own the gas station.
Yes, that's
Right, exactly.
it. Yeah, you never know.
See how impactful it was? You remember that. So
Yeah, I
now you
remembered
carry it
everything
with
Kevin
you,
has said.
which is amazing.
You have that box cutter still?
I do. I actually, he left it to me in his will. Yeah, it's all rusty.
You
and
never
bloody,
know.
but yeah,
You never know.
I don't have his
never
pliers.
you don't have the pliers. There's another story.
All
about
right,
that.
let's hear the pliers.
All right. Well, this one I'm robbing from Jeff.
Yes.
So some of the stories we'll tell about Kevin. Some like normal people looking. Oh my God, that's horrifying. But to us, it was just Kevin.
It's just Kevin.
So he had got. I think he'd already been to Japan already. So he was back, and he was up at Walter's school or gym, wherever it was. And somebody had came over from Larry Sharp's school and was from New Jersey. and was mouthing off about how good he was. So I don't know what Walter was thinking. Usually when you want to take care of somebody like that, you get somebody who can like take them and manipulate their joints and bend them in ungodly ways, right?
Yeah.
So he looks at Kevin, who, as much as I love Kevin was never Lou Thez. And he looks at him, Kevin, I want you to take care of him. And Kevin's like, Dave, what do you mean take care of him? I want you to take care of him, with the quotations, right? So Kevin gets in the ring. Kevin used to have a pair of zipper boots,
Yeah.
and the tab broke off. So he used to keep a pair of pliers inside the boot so he could pull
So he
the
could pull
tab
them
up, right? So he gets this guy in the ring, and instead of, putting him in some Mexican surfboard hold, he reaches into his boots, takes out his pliers, starts, chasing the guy around the ring, blooding him up.
Yeah.
The guy's running for his life. Walter's like,
Yeah,
oh
just-
my
yeah.
God.
Instead of just, back in the day, you would stretch somebody, right? You know what I mean? Like you'd hurt them within the context of the match. No, not Kevin. Kevin didn't understand that. Kevin's like, oh, take care of him. Got it.
Beat
Got
the
it.
crap out of him.
With a pair of pliers.
The pair of pliers. Yeah.
The people always say, they'd come to me and they go, what's with his gimmick? I go, what gimmick?
Oh, that was the best.
Right?
That was the
There's-
best comment I ever heard about
Right.
him.
Everybody'd say that.
We
No.
were wrestling up in what town was it?
it?
Some little towns, Derry, New Hampshire.
Derry, New Hampshire, yeah.
So I don't know why, but Dickinson's brother decided he was going to ride up to the show with him, right? And I have no idea exactly what happened.
Referee Scott
Scott
Dickinson.
Dickinson.
Referee
his
Scott
brother.
Dickinson.
For them.
Yeah.
Yes, of name dropping WCW fame. Yes.
Yeah.
So, anyways.
Famed postman.
He gets out of the car. He gets out of the car. I have no idea what happened on this ride. He looks shell-shocked. He doesn't blink. His eyes they look like giant quarters. I'm like, what's wrong? He goes, it's not a gimmick.
No.
It's not a gimmick. It's real.
When you see him and sitting there, he's just, just moving and muttering and stuff. And it was brilliant. I'd sit there.
It didn't matter if anybody was looking at him or
Just-
not, if anybody was around. It's just
Seriously.
he was that way from the moment he woke up till the time he would.
Even
he just,
and, you know,
he would try and tell jokes on the microphone, but he'd only like half remember them, and he'd only remember like the punchline and
And
a
wouldn't he
third
be
of the
sitting
joke.
at the desk doing it? He wasn't in
remember,
the ring.
remember this
Like,
one?
he was sitting at the
His
desk.
thing was orange.
That's the one I was thinking of. And his thing, it was orange. Everyone's like, what are you
He
talking
completely
about?
butchered
And
the
then
joke.
he'd get mad at the crowd because they didn't get it.
Yeah.
He'd usually swear at
He
her.
didn't know how to tell. He didn't know how to.
When he'd be
It was
talking
amazing.
to people, we'd all be the same way after we're done. We're all like this.
Yeah, just like what the hell do we? We all felt
like,
like
don't
banded
move,
together because we were
don't
like
move.
Right.
That's what
we
it
just
was
felt like we all went through something together, listening to
Yeah, it
him.
was
you know,
great,
like,
though. Oh, my
Yeah, it was like a
goodness.
therapy group.
Yes.
Yeah, it was-
Was there ever any good interactions with Ox Baker, who was there quite a bit at the end?
I don't
Not that I
know.
know
He
either.
must have, I guess.
That had to have been.
Yeah,
those
I
two
can
together.
imagine what that
I would have
was
loved to
like.
have been on a fly on the wall for those two sitting together. Like,
Well, I wasn't Ox's biggest booster, but
no, you were not. Yeah,
yeah, I would have liked to see Kevin as box cutter with Ox myself.
Kevin.
You never know.
An early memory.
You know
of
what they
Kevin
do
as well.
to you know what they do to Ox to make him not Ox anymore, right?
Yeah.
Box cutter.
So our second show, I think it was me and Big City Mike worked with Jeff and Kevin.
Story.
And
No, this is
Big City Mike.
Yeah, I
He was
remember
only
you
like
told a story about
6'3".
him.
Yeah, he was 6'3" or whatever. But a giant man, just
Right.
like just a giant man. So we're working. Big City Mike was the lightest guy, like almost to a fault.
Right.
Like as far as like working or whatever. Right? He'd
Barely
never hurt
fail him.
anybody.
Barely fail him.
Barely fail him, and sometimes it even looked like crap because he was so light.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, he did like a splash to to Jeff. Kevin swore that it was a shoot, and Mike was trying to take the pin on him. So he ran in and booted Big City in the ribs with the toe of his boot, harder than I've ever seen anybody get kicked in my life. He thought he was Pele, kicking this guy in the ribs. And I just remember Big City just never seen him move so fast. He rolled off of Jeff and came over to me. He's like, he thinks it's real. He thinks it's real. Trying to beg me to tag. I got in there and Kevin was just like, he was trying to shoot on him. He was trying to shoot on him. As he's trying to rake my eyes and take my eye out of my head. He was in there. He was trying to shoot on him. And I'm like, I don't think he was, Kevin. I don't think he was. But man, he was just, oh my God. He was just.
You talk about characters in wrestling. He really was a character and just a real fun person to watch and listen to, and oh my goodness, everybody that's ever come in contact with him, he's just a lasting memory of what he did, and just unbelievable.
You had said a story on here before about the time you're in Salisbury, and it involved John Callahan, Big City Mike,
Eric Watts,
and Kevin. Can you just pick up like from after the match was over?
So as soon as the match is over, well, it was during the finish of the
You
match.
might as well tell the finish because that would make sense.
I refused to tap out to Eric Watts in a move for, I don't know, 3 minutes or whatever. It's like I just laid in there, and then I stopped selling at the point too. All I could hear is Kevin, it's a shoot! He's just yelling. I think everybody in Salisbury could hear it. He was yelling. He stood up. After the match, I went and grabbed my bag. Kevin, I swear, wanted to kill Big City and Callahan, both of them at the same time. Jeff was trying to calm him down. I was fuming because if Kevin said, Sonny, let's go kill him, I would have been like, right on, let's go do it. We would have been in jail together.
Go get the gun?
Yeah.
Because
I'm gonna go get my gun. What the?
There's a lot of friends you can have, and that guy's at my back, and then you see other friends, and then you go, he don't have my back, and then you look at Kevin, it's like, I'm not sure I want him to have my back.
Because I'm gonna have to tell the truth. I'm not gonna perjure myself at some point. Yeah. So like, I don't know. But Kevin was he just was. There's a picture, and I can't find it. I know it's in my house somewhere of Kevin and I in Jeff's dining room when he just had this guy, Dick the Belt. I think it was Dick the Belt Man, make us some tag team belts. And Kevin and I put him on, and we were flanking this guy. And we looked like he could have been like an older brother or a dad, to me. I mean, we're only 10 years apart or whatever, maybe a little bit more. But it's one of my favorite pictures. And I know Betty has it somewhere. And I was trying to look for it to bring it in, but I couldn't find it. But man, that guy was just, he was such a character. Just such a character. Just, I can't say enough.
When he
good
was
things about
ring
him.
announcing, was probably one of the funniest things.
Oh.
I mean, he would just,
He
he
would-
didn't know your name, it was just whatever.
He would do
just say
You just get whatever.
He
You
would
get
do
whatever your
things that today people go, oh my God, that is so unprofessional. Shut up.
Yeah.
Jesus,
it was
he's so
gold.
awesome.
It was gold.
Vegas worked a match one time. I'm going to say it was with Kudalis.
I think it was
or whatever.
Gary
And Vegas cheats to win.
Oh,
Kevin was so upset. So upset. Gary was one of his favorites, so he announced it like this. Your winner of the match, Johnny Vegas. That cheating bastard.
he
That's
was
how he
going to
announced
throw
it.
his coffee at me, and he had a hammer. And
Yes.
the ringing the bell too. He had the hammer, and he started to come after me. And I'm like, oh my God, this
Yeah.
is so real.
Yeah, it was
He
crazy.
was
But
very mad.
that was the thing about Kevin. There's nothing more real than real.
Yeah, that was real.
never an act. It was. I remember one of the best things about Kevin was you could steal all sorts of shit from him. You could. I
Yes.
did all the time.
Yeah.
Like I remember the very first time I ever worked with
Just
him.
what? To amuse yourselves, right?
Yeah,
By stealing
or just
from. Yeah.
just the stuff you would say because first off, you never remembered that you ever said it
Yeah.
or ever did it.
Right.
So you could steal it, and people would be like, "Oh, that's yours."
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I just remember we did this match. It was like a 6-man tag. It was me and I don't even know who it was. And then Jeff was involved, and I think it was wrestling Jeff. And Kevin was on his team. And so I get in the ring, and Kevin's just sitting on the top rope, bouncing up and down with his hands between his legs. Going, And I stole that. I used that so much after that. I was like, that man looked so goddamn. He looked like a spastic vulture. And then somehow, like about 50 chairs got in the ring, and he's just taking them and going, and chasing Scott Dickinson around he's inside the ring. He's chasing Scott Dickinson around the ring by lobbing chairs at him.
What's great is I did probably like 20 to 25 shows of Jeff's, you know what I mean? And Wolfie's selling my merchandise. So I saw him, you know what I mean? And obviously I was in the building before the fans were setting up. He always came over to say hi. Always. One day he came over with a bag and I'm like, he's like, I got something for you. I'm like, what is it? He opens it up. Look, he gives me 2 VHS tapes. No, I was like, I can't remember what the title, but it's like the golden age of wrestling. One was villains and one was good guys. And he gave it to me, and I'm like, you want anything else? I don't need nothing, But he was just a good guy. Didn't
Such a
have
good
to
guy.
do that to me, for me, and always came over to say hi. Always.
He just when he was doing his ring announcing, it was some of my best stuff. He would sit at that merch table
Oh, it was
with the
awesome.
rings, and then I remember one time we're still setting up the ring, and he's got his table set up. And he's putting his shit together, or his stuff together. Apologize. And just out of the blue, just no prompt, just sitting there, and he just goes, "Ultimate Warrior," and then just goes right back to putting his stuff together.
No reason.
Just no reason. We're all like, "The hell happened?" Nothing. Nobody was near him. There wasn't an Ultimate Warrior doll. Anything. He was just-
You always knew where he was because you'd always hear something every so often. Someone would
And
peep out.
he would say it however he wanted to.
Right?
We were doing Hudson outdoor days, and I remember
the old oldies, yeah.
I was wrestling Chief Fox, and so
That was Chief Fox, not
Chief Fox. Anyways,
Dave Fox. Yeah.
So, anyways,
Sonny.
R.I.P.
I don't. So they told him, well, you gotta push Dave's merchandise. That's why he comes here. So he gets on the microphone. All right, and over at the merchandise table, we're selling authentic Indian crap.
Yes. He announced it as authentic Indian crap. Yeah.
I'm sorry if Indian is not the politically correct word anymore. That was the word that we used at the time.
Another ring announcing one is he's sitting there and he just announced the winner of a match or whatever the case is, and he goes, oh my goodness, folks, very special guest tonight, ladies and gentlemen. He's all excited. He's animated. Ladies and gentlemen, the Invisible Man. And then, wait, it gets better. He goes like this.
Oh, he watches them.
Then, wait, he goes, keep your eye on him, folks. And watches him walk to the back. I almost peed myself. To say he would
Gold.
He would just do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Brilliant stuff.
Just all the time.
Like the show could suck, but his ring announcing was the most
great.
entertaining thing you
So
ever
entertaining.
I
seen.
think people came for that
I
sometimes.
do.
We were working for Todd Sobel one time in Peabody at the elementary school, and for some reason somebody forgot to ring bell or something like that, and Kevin volunteers to ring. He goes, "You don't need a bell." He goes like this. He goes, "You just go like this. Watch, ding, ding. See, that was it." I go, "Oh yeah, that'll work, Kevin."
Did he do it?
No,
No.
you just go like this. Look, watch. You don't hear it. Ding, ding. See, can't even tell the difference. I was like.
What about the battle royal for the car we had?
Oh, yes.
I mean, that was
The what?
we had a battle royal for the
I
grand
missed
prize
this
of
I'm
the
surprised
car.
Wolfie didn't tell you this story.
Oh,
Yeah,
my
so
goodness.
Wolfie had won the money and,
Yeah.
and helped Kevin out by buying him a car.
Oh, nice.
I don't even know if it was a brand new car, but it was like
No,
an office car.
yeah.
It was like a Lincoln Town car.
Right.
Yeah, it was a good
I
song.
think it
Yeah,
was
it
like-
was,
car.
one
I
of
think it
those
was
nice
actually
cars.
Buick Roadmaster.
yeah, Buick. It was
Yes,
Buick.
it was
Yep.
a beautiful car.
Very nice.
But it was like the old, you see the old office guys in.
Yeah.
And so we decided we were going to do a battle, or Jeff decided we were going to do a battle royal, and the winner gets a car.
Oh yeah.
Kevin's in the battle royal. Clearly, he's going to win.
Right.
But
We all screwed with him, telling him
Because we were all suicidal then.
Yeah,
we
yeah.
were like, man, I don't know. I could really use a new car. That's a new car.
I know it looks good. He
That's
starts.
getting all stressed out. He's like,
He's fuming at some point. He's like
that's my effing car.
very jittery and stuff, and just waiting, And we're like, yeah, well, that car looks pretty good. And he's,
Yeah.
no,
He was getting all.
he's chomping at the bit.
Yeah, he's like,
And then I started to get scared because I'm in the
Yeah.
battle royal.
yeah, you see it a little too much, and you're like, I'm gonna back off.
Yeah, I say,
I'm gonna back off.
You got to tell them the truth.
You know who really wants your cars ripped?
Yeah.
Who
will
That
be
was-
here Thursday night.
Yes.
That's what I heard.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That's
Nice.
great. Were you
Nice.
coming down?
Yes.
Is that what I heard? That's
It's gonna
awesome.
be awesome. Yep, the feud.
awesome.
Feuds in New England, independent wrestling.
So I'm gonna tell one story from our trips to Canada.
Okay,
Yes.
cool.
So it was me, Jeff, and Kevin,
told
all
me, so-
300 plus pounds.
Yeah.
I was probably the lightest at 300 pounds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're driving at the time my wife's Nissan Sentra, which the three of us combined, I think, weighed more than the car. We're driving to Canada. So there's a lot to this story, but there's a lot to it. So I'm driving at one point, and like we've talked for a couple hours, and you 5-hour drive, you kind of run out of stuff to talk about, So it's just quiet. We're listening to music, and I'm driving. I'm like this, and then all of a sudden, I just feel this.
I'd be freaking
Right? So I go like this. So this is me. Right? That was 11 seconds. How awkward did you feel, right? Yeah. So I go, hey. I'm driving. I turn the radio up. He just reaches over to like this, turns it down.
Jesus. All right.
Right? So imagine this is going on for, I don't know, 15 minutes. I want to get out of the car. I'm creeped out. So I go, what? What? And he doesn't even blink. He just goes, you always got to check the driver. He didn't want me to fall asleep. So that was his way. Scaring the piss out of me. That was it.
And did it work?
Yeah, you didn't
Yeah.
fall asleep.
Yeah, I did. I know my heart was 11,000 miles a minute.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right.
So we switch at one point. Kevin's driving.
Oh boy.
We're getting up to, we're a mile from the border. He goes, hey, think they're going to find my gun?
Oh no.
Jeff and I go, what? Well, I always carry my gun. Well, where is it? He goes,
Next.
in my bag next to my baking powder.
That's in the bag, not in the box.
Yeah.
Next to a pile of white powder.
That's
Yeah.
how he would brush his teeth. Like he would just old school and just I was like, oh my God, we're going to jail in Canada. It's not conspicuous enough that we're driving a flaming red Nissan Sentra,
Right.
950 pounds combined in this car. Like, luckily we didn't get stopped. We got through.
Oh, God.
Then after the show, I wrestle whatever, and we go out. There's like a tour guide for us or whatever. So he brings us to these clubs, and Kevin is pounding Molson Goldeds, and in Canada the APV
Oh yeah, those
is
are
much higher
strong
than they
bit.
are around
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Much higher.
Absolutely.
So we're at the basement of a church that is selling beers, and he is swallowing beers left after one after another. And we finally leave. We go to a club. He's drinking beers. So I'm talking to Jeff and the promoter guy. My beer is right here.
Yeah.
Kevin's sitting right here, and he has his beer bottle like this, and I can see out of the corner of my eye because he's like, we're sitting where you are.
Yeah.
He would grab my beer bottle and go, and then drink it and then hold his. He was like a kid, thought he was getting away with something. So I would just look at him like
Like, yeah.
I was like, and then finally he did it like 3 times, and he's spit taking his beer because he thinks this is the funniest thing.
Yeah.
Nobody else
It
is paying
was
attention to him. Yeah, nobody's paying attention to him. He's literally drooling and spitting beer all over himself. Finally, I look at him. I go, Kevin, you just want me to buy you another beer, buddy? I'm like, just tell me, I'll buy you a beer. He's like, what? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
We're driving to the hotel. I think we're on St. Catherine Street in Montreal.
Yeah.
He's in the back waving like this. Jeff's like, he's going to throw up. I'm like, come on, Kevin's been drinking forever. He's not going to throw up.
Right.
He's like, no, he's going to throw up. I'm like, come on. He's like this.
Oh no.
So you can see beads of sweat pouring down his head. He's rolling down the window. Oh, Christ's sakes, it's hot in here. Finally, he just goes, oh, you got to pull over. We pull over. He throws up all over St. Catherine Street, gets in the car, and says, those damn Canadians are trying to poison me with that poutine. I go, Kevin, you don't think it was the 18 beers you drank? No, it was the poutine. He had half an order of poutine, and that was what poisoned him.
Yeah.
It was so freaking bizarre. But my God, those are just the kind of things So I say that all the time now. If I'm driving and I'll just look at Betty. You know,
Oh, yeah.
you always got to check the passenger. You know, just
That's hilarious.
things you just bring with you for the rest of your life.
You didn't even have to talk to him. I would just like to sit there and I would just watch him.
Just
And
watch him.
He'd sit there and
The ticks.
stuff like this or
Mannerisms.
That one. We're at
And
Jeff's
just-
house one time.
Oh my goodness.
We go into the living room and
Love
there's
it.
Kevin like this. We're like, Kevin, what are you doing? Kentucky Fried Chicken. We do chicken right.
That's it.
What?
And it wasn't a commercial or nothing.
No.
Whatever comes to his head.
No, whatever came out
Oh,
of his
my
head
goodness.
fell directly out of his mouth.
It was.
Didn't matter.
Well,
Yeah.
Let me ask you about certain people that maybe
Sure.
did he ever have any interactions with and what he thought of the skunk?
I don't
Yeah, I don't
really.
know.
I couldn't have been positive. I'll tell you that much. I think he just looked at him as another
Useless. Yeah.
useless joke on the show.
Was there anybody he hated?
He pretended to hate Tony Altamore, the gangster of love.
Oh, yeah.
Who he? Oh, you don't remember? Tall,
Wait,
skinny.
Yeah, wasn't he teamed up with what's his name?
Johnny Rose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those two were
Yeah,
buddies.
okay.
Kevin actually brought Tony to
Yeah.
us though. But
But he hated him.
I don't know if he hated him. He loved to
he just
torture him,
loved
though.
to torture him.
okay.
Though.
Oh.
Loved to torture him. I don't think Kevin actually disliked anybody really. Just
Okay.
like if he didn't have anything, if you would know if you didn't have any interaction with him, you probably weren't on his good side.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Okay.
but he wouldn't go out of your way, out of his
No.
way to
Right.
make anybody.
Only if he was friendly with, if he liked you,
Right,
he would do
right.
that. Because like I said, he used to always.
Not that I haven't
Yeah.
seen him get
before
just
the show,
mad out of the blue with
stumble
people.
over
He's
and
just,
say hello.
Yeah.
I can't really think of anybody he
Okay.
strongly disliked or
Just
anything.
curious,
Yeah,
no,
because
he
I
just-
mean that would be
strong
pretty
enough to
funny.
go out of it. I don't know. Every once, like I remember when we were working for Rocky Raymond one time,
Yeah, I
and
wasn't a fan.
and he didn't I think it was Bob Evans and might have been Robbie Ellis had a match, and he didn't like Robbie Ellis. I know that
Yeah.
much, but not a lot of us did. But anyways,
No.
So
R.I.P. Robbie Ellis? No, not yet.
No,
Soon,
stop it.
then, right?
No.
Soon.
Stop it.
What?
R.E. not R.I.P.
I want to do
The,
a show on Rocky Raymond, entitle it "Dirtbags in Pro Wrestling."
Okay, let's.
That'll definitely be a six
So
spotter.
we do the show, and the show was a freaking Rocky Raymond ripped everybody off. There were like literally like 1,000 people in this high school gym, and it was a sold show. And then he started shorting people anyways.
Yeah.
Including Bob.
Yeah.
But Bob wrestled Ellis, and Ellis went over, and Kevin didn't like it, so he just announced Bob as the winner.
Yes. Yeah.
That you might be able to tell he didn't like if he did crap like that.
Yeah. Yeah. He just
Ladies and gentlemen, where's the match? Brutal Bob Evans.
he wouldn't suffer fools like
Yeah.
Jeff's first show. I don't think Bob knew who Kevin was.
Yeah.
Like didn't understand who he was, and Tony Roy showed up there,
Yeah.
and they didn't understand
And
who this.
Jeff told him to put a mask on.
Yes, but these guys didn't understand who Kevin was. So he's like a couple of guys in there, and I don't know exactly who it was, but they were like asking about more money, and Tony says, "Well, I usually get this." Kevin had his gun right in his bag, like right there.
Yeah.
He was ready to pull it out and get rid of these guys. He's like, I don't know if it was Bob. This probably wasn't Bob. It was definitely Tony Roy and a couple of these other guys.
Yeah.
Like asking for more money, and Jeff's sitting there like, "This is my bodyguard. He
Yeah.
won't say a word to you, but
He'll
he'll
shoot
say
you.
something else." Yeah, and you're gonna.
Wow.
Yeah,
There you go.
he was just
Wow.
he was such a character. I can't even explain enough
character,
how
yeah.
much of a character he
How
was.
many times we say the word character, and that was it.
He's
But it's so nice, right? I mean, he passed away, but you guys can talk and laugh about the great. You know what I mean? I guarantee he'd be if he's looking down, he's loving this.
Because I can't
Right?
ever
He's
think.
loving
And
this.
you guys knew him better than I can't ever think of a time his entire life when that guy was like down.
no.
He was always.
That guy was he was just always up and just
Yes.
always looking for a laugh and just
Right.
He tried to pop everybody just to get a laugh, to pop himself. And if you can get through life doing that, like my God, like God bless you. 'cause
Yeah.
it's not everybody can do that.
Right.
He
I wish
just,
I could remember the things he said because I remember when he did the ring announcement from the table over by the stage.
Yes.
It was over by
Yeah.
the stage, and I mean I can remember laughing at things he said, but I just can't remember. what he said.
I'm not getting in and out of the ring.
Yeah.
Remember, Jeff used to try to use him a ref sometimes. If you do too many false finishes,
Oh,
he'd
start
start counting
counting
on his
with his
feet.
Yeah. I'm not getting up and down.
That's awesome.
We did a little thing on Saturday morning, and Johnny goes, "What's this, Kevin Hughes?"
my tribute to
One,
Kevin.
two. He's out counting with his foot.
Yeah.
Yeah. He just he's just the best guy.
Right,
Like just the
right.
best guy. He
You
like
look forward to
give you the
seeing
shirt
him.
off his back.
You
if
look forward to
needed
seeing
like,
him
Right,
at
right.
shows. I was always excited when he was on the
Yeah.
shows,
Yeah.
at the shows, you know.
Like,
And he was at most of them,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, once Jeff got a hold of him again to Jeff
Yeah.
start running those first shows,
Right.
that guy was there for everything.
Yeah.
every
Oh, yeah.
show. Yeah, you just
Nice.
and those two hadn't talked in a couple of years at that point, but it was just a phone call away, and just was able to pick up and just now. So this just happened last week, obviously.
Right.
Like Tuesday, he passed away, or
I think
Wednesday.
it was Monday.
The day before,
I think
you
it was
hit me up, said you had his phone number, and you're going to see if you can get him on the show.
Literally,
Then
so
the
I've
next
been trying
day,
to-
you
I've
told
been
me
trying to
he
get a
passed
hold
Which
of
is
him.
so weird because I'm not normally this guy, but I actually had a dream about Kevin the night before I heard he died.
Wow.
It was strange.
It was,
I'm not that guy usually. It's,
Right.
Yeah, it was just
creeped me out.
weird timing because I had a couple numbers that I tried for him. I did everything I could to try to get this guy's number,
Right.
and everything was a dead end. And finally, I go, I wonder if Wolfie's been in contact with him. So I contacted Wolfie. He goes, "This is the last number I had for him." He goes, "It's been a while."
Right.
And my plan was Wednesday night I was driving to see a show with my daughter. I was going to call him,
Yeah.
and get him on the phone then. So that Tuesday, Wolfie gave me the number. Wednesday morning, Wolfie sends me a message saying, "Hey, he goes, you got me thinking about him." So I contacted him. His mom just told me that he passed away yesterday. Just the timing was just
Right.
and I'm not like a very emotional guy, and but I broke down at work all day long.
Right.
Like
Right.
it's
Yeah,
just one of
no,
those
no
things.
doubt.
It's just like
Someone you care about.
I called Betty
You're
and I'm
gonna
just like,
miss.
honey, I was like, I don't even know how to tell you. And she was, she was upset on the phone. She cried because she loved
Right.
Kevin. Kevin loved our kids. Kevin always, like, oh, look at that. Oh, she's cute. Hi. Like, I didn't remember a single name, but knew whose kids were whose. And he was just looked like he would kill you if he
Right.
wanted to.
Yeah.
But the biggest sweetheart, just the best guy.
All you had to do is like somebody would be on the show and they're like, "Oh, I don't like the finish to my match. I don't want to do this." I'd be like, "You see that guy there? You go tell him."
Yeah.
No, I'm fine.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
Now, he did some pretty cool things, too, in wrestling. Like we said, he had that match with Edward.
Eduardo cut the
Thank
cup
you
at the
very
air.
much,
Yeah,
man.
but yeah,
So I didn't screw it
Eduardo
up again.
cup at the air.
No, but I mean, he teamed up with Jeff in Vancouver.
Yeah.
Had some. Didn't he win the tag titles?
Yeah, they won tag titles. It was him, and then it was him, and I think he worked with Terry Adonis as well.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
They teamed up.
Who,
and,
Jeff or Kevin? 'Cause
Kevin.
Okay.
I think
both.
I think
I
they
know
all.
did.
Jeff definitely teamed up with
Yeah.
Terry Adonis.
In fact, Jeff always told me the story one night. They did a tag team tournament. They did a tag team title tournament, and they ended up with the belts that night. And the belts aren't like they are now. I mean, belts were they were made at trophy shops. They're made wherever you get them made.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Well, these ones were actually halfway decent belts, but they were made at a memorial shop. Like you go to the graveyard and you see a bronze
One of those
plaque
plaques.
stuck into the graveyard. Well, that's what the belt was made out of. So apparently, all the people came right to the front of the ring when they won because they were pissed. And just like, what do we do? How do we get out of here? So Kevin, you just take that belt you just won, you jump in the middle of it, you start swinging that thing around. And he goes, yeah? Oh, yeah, do that. Yeah. So Jeff does, he jumps and starts swinging this probably about 15 pounds worth of metal attached to it. Helicopter action. I could feel guys' jaws breaking. I could feel people's heads getting collided with. I guess Kevin just hopped out of the ring and smiled like the cat that ate the canary and just fall into the back. And he gets back there and goes, I didn't think you'd actually do it.
He worked in Puerto Rico. Jay York was booking there, and he worked in Puerto Rico. He had great matches with guys like Dean Ho.
He had so many stories too, but like you had to pry them out of him. You had to ask him about it.
He
never
wouldn't tell the
just-
wrestlers, so it was
no,
weird.
no.
It was really bizarre.
Yeah.
But yeah,
You think he
loved-
did nothing if you didn't.
Right.
He actually
Right,
worked.
you
No,
don't
at,
even know, right?
It's a habit I picked from. I never use names that I know and stuff like
Yeah.
that because Kevin never dropped names.
No,
Right.
he loved his time in for Leon out in California. He actually worked at his pizza joint. He said,
Oh, wow.
Bakersfield, right? Is that where?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
Bakersfield. He loved his time out there. Loved that guy.
Right.
He was super loyal. He loved Walter. loved Walter. You know,
Yeah,
always
Walter gave
appreciated
him a pair of tights, right? And Jeff got some too, right? The purple
Well,
ones
that's
with
yeah.
lightning.
well, that's how what I believe that's how he got booked out in New Hampshire, out in Japan. He was booked as Killer Kowalski's protege.
Yes.
And then after he got back, the show to tell you how good it went. Well, Killer Kowalski's students weren't allowed in Japan for a few years.
After Kevin one trip. Yeah, he apparently beat the bag out of somebody in an elevator, one of the boys.
Yeah.
Like,
Bad.
yeah, like pulling clumps of hair out. Like, it was something about.
Wow.
So the way Kevin put it was like, I had one of those little geisha girls, you know, and we're in the elevator, and then next thing you know, this guy comes in, and then this is how the story goes, though. He doesn't have all the details.
Right.
He's like, oh, there's clumps of hair, and then I got sent home. And then Walter's guys weren't allowed back for a number of years.
The story I always got was, and they do their tours on a bus there. Kevin gets on the bus, and he does to an American, some guy working an American Native American gimmick.
Yes.
You know, does the same thing you did to you on a car ride to Canada.
Yeah.
Stares at him for like 20 minutes. And the guy goes,
That's right.
What is your problem? And then Kevin just told him he's going to beat the shit out of him. And
Yes.
then they had to be separated, and Kevin didn't go on the tour buses anymore. And then he took a cab ride around Tokyo and had no idea how to get back to his hotel.
Yeah, didn't know the name of his hotel or anything.
Couldn't speak Japanese. Driving around Tokyo for 3 hours, sequestering this poor cab driver. Finally finds a hotel. He gets out. Kevin has no cash. He gives him a banana.
Gives him a banana.
Gives him a banana, and the guy was probably thankful just to get him out of his cab.
Yeah.
You know?
Remember, he was on tour. That was with Gypsy Joe. That's
Yes.
he was
but
on Gypsy
the
Joe.
story I heard was he got in the elevator, and it was, what's it, Korakuen? How do they pronounce Korakuen?
Corkine Hall.
Corkin Hall.
Yeah,
Corkin Hall.
Yeah.
And they wrestle up like the 5th floor. He
Yes.
gets in the elevator, goes down a floor, and the Indian gets in the
That's what it was.
gets in the elevator. They get to the bottom floor. The door opens. The promoter's standing there, and one of the refs, and there's Kevin ripping clumps of hair out of his head.
That's what it was.
Yeah. This
Yeah.
was after, by the way, he was supposed to tag team with him on live TV and just turned on him for no reason on the middle of live TV.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I just always learned to just nod a lot when he would talk to you, because the stories, they didn't all the pieces weren't there, like you said. But he'd be like, I did this, and then it was I'm like, yeah, and you just stand there and you
His
just like,
stories were kind of like
but it's brilliant. Oh,
taking
my
a
goodness.
puzzle and going,
Yes. Yeah.
It's like,
11 years
wait,
you
but
talked to
wait.
him, he finally pieced one story together.
Yeah,
Right,
I got a corner. I got a corner.
Because get all the
Because usually you got a 50-piece puzzle, but 28 pieces are missing.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, wait a minute. But, I mean, we were all very, very sad on the news. I mean, it's nice to come here and to celebrate the good parts that we can remember, but it is sad when anybody passes, especially so young.
Right.
And it was hard for everybody. Everybody was touched by him, but it's nice that we can, I don't want to
There's
say
so
vent,
many
but
good
just,
memories.
just,
So many good memories.
relive the good stuff.
A perfect example of him not completing a story. So he never talked about this, but there's a little history of Kevin and maybe being institutionalized.
yes.
Just the story, though. We don't know for sure.
Salem, Peabody area.
We don't know.
And there was like a little courtyard. One day we're sitting there, literally not even talking. We're just sitting, maybe we're watching football or whatever. And he goes like this to me. He goes, so I was sitting, I used to give the dogs my pills. And then he just turns back. I go, Jeff looks at me and goes, wow. Literally out of the blue. We're watching football. And he just, out of nowhere, he just says that to me. I'm like, apparently Jeff and I talked about it. And we were like, he must have been talking about when he was institutionalized and he was sitting in the courtyard. He used to feed this dog.
You do a great impersonation. Every time you do it, it's like I'm reliving this.
Yeah,
I can picture him saying, the pills and the dog.
The thing
So good.
with his fingers.
And a dog ran around. He's chasing the goddamn tail.
He was.
Oh my goodness!
Oh, my God.
Really,
Just-
when you say somebody's one of a kind,
Yeah.
and this, really,
Yeah,
this
no,
is.
you're right.
There's nobody I've ever seen anybody like him.
Right.
You're gonna run into people you say, there's not a lot of people like this one, but nobody.
And
compares
honestly,
to him.
you could probably do the same show about a bunch of different people, and you'd sit there and you'd be straining and come up with good things to say with them after 20 minutes. You can't come up with enough crazy
there's just
stories
so
about
much.
Kevin and good stories. And just,
Well, you brought up Jeff just recently, and Jeff was one of Kevin's best
yeah.
friends.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
Kevin Jeff made a post on Facebook on the Cauliflower Alley Club's page. Kevin Butcher Hughes has passed away. He was my oldest friend and always in my family. It wasn't a gimmick. He was always the real thing. He always looked after me like a big brother.
He did.
He had no fear of anything.
Nope.
He may have passed away, but he will live on through the endless stories told about him and how much he was loved. My wife, Bear Costa, Monica, and I will not get a Christmas card this year, but we will always have the greatest stories to tell about the man. Then he writes, "The butcher is dead." Long-lived legend of Kevin Hughes, the protege of Killer Kowalski. Keep your blade sharp.
Remember Fluffy too? His cat.
Oh yeah.
That's what someone I told Betty. She gets emotional and she goes, "Well, what about Fluffy?" And I completely forgot about Fluffy. Kevin loved this cat. I don't know if this cat ever existed, but he would tell stories of Fluffy.
Yeah.
I never saw a cat.
Right.
I've never been to his house though.
Right.
No idea if this cat actually existed, but Kevin loved Fluffy.
Now, what did he do for work?
He worked at was it Ann
Shaw's?
Taylor?
I thought it was Shaw's at one point.
When I met him, I think he was at Ann Taylor. He worked like
Can you
security or
imagine,
whatever.
like being in Charles and go, what aisle is the butter? And he'd be like, so of that.
But the cows.
Then you get into the store. You'd end up leaving the store like walking
I'm
straight.
gonna go across the street to the other store.
He'd tell you how to make the butter and everything, huh?
He just
great.
but Ann Taylor, I remember that's where he had the box cutter from because he would cut open like a security packages. He had to make sure like all the packages got to the right places.
Because you never know.
You never know.
You almost owned Ann and Hope.
Because that would come up, like the box cutter would come up constantly.
Right.
Yeah.
You'd be in a
box cutter was the
restaurant. Guy's annoying me. I got my box cutter. No, Kevin.
thing. One time for the what's that thing we did?
Battle Royal.
No.
the auction, the
The auction
online
thing.
thing.
Oh, the car.
No, we did
this
an
is-
auction thing.
We did a
for the Girls Inc. Right?
Okay.
They used to do the auction thing on
Yeah.
this
on
local
one of the-
channel here, right?
Right.
And so one of the things that they auctioned off was dinner with the wrestlers. So
Did I just snort?
Yes, it's awesome. Don't
the
worry
dinner
about it.
was at the Halua at Exit 6 here, right?
I thought it was going to be at Nashville House because I know you guys love that place back.
Yeah,
in the
no,
day.
but we were taking this was special.
This is classy. This is a classy
Yeah,
thing.
classy.
Talking about.
So we
Not
took
that
him to
National
the-
House isn't classy. Right. We're talking,
This is a step up. above
Yeah,
that.
we're 5-star,
We took
baby.
him to the Chinese buffet of Halua. Kevin never lifted his head from the plate. He just kept loading up. The people are like sitting there, like I'm sitting with my stupid Captain USA mask on, trying to eat Chinese food. So I just go, I'm like F this, and I just pulled it up like this, and I'm just eating Chinese food. I can't.
That would
even
be a
see 'cause
COVID
it's-
violation.
Yeah, over my eyes. Kevin though just doesn't even look up. Just people are trying to ask him questions. He's just eating beef sticks and just everything else.
See-
Didn't even bother talking to anybody. It was
Oh, so people were asking you questions while you're eating?
Well, it was
part
like
of the-
3 people or
No,
whatever.
no,
It was
I
like a
get it.
small family or
Oh,
whatever
okay,
that won the
okay.
auction.
All right.
And by the end of it, they're probably afraid Kevin's going to
Yeah.
eat them.
Kevin just literally did. I think he was sitting across from like the dad or something.
Yeah.
And like I was on one end, Jeff was on the other, and there was a couple of the other boys there. And
Was he doing his move? Me and my wife, we saw him one time at a buffet,
we're
and
gonna find
he
out.
couldn't get that close to the table. So he always had this move where he'd take the fork and he'd like shovel up as much as he could, like he was a steam shovel, and then his hand would come under the load of food. And the hand would guide it back to his mouth every time. And every time he hit,
he was a big guy. So,
nom, nom, nom,
it was,
nom, nom.
Like the
And
Flintstones.
like,
it really was.
Kevin, why are you holding your hand like that? I don't want to drop any. There's 5,000 pounds of food over there.
Yeah,
Just
you'll
go
be
get
awesome.
some more.
Just a
great.
side note on that auction, we weren't allowed back because one of the auction items was a rowboat. So Sonny decides to break out in a song called "Rock the Boat," and we
Yes.
sang that song, and they were like, "It
Yeah.
was too much for you, for them." Or
And we
Really?
didn't know
and
any
there
of
was
the,
no karaoke?
we didn't know any
No.
of the words.
So you guys
except
would
for the
get
chorus. All we knew was the chorus.
Right.
So we
So
started
I like
singing
boat,
just the
baby,
chorus.
rock the boat.
That's
That's
the
the
one.
boat over.
You got
rock
it.
The boat.
By the way, at the show on Saturday night, I had it played 3 times.
Really? Go for him.
Because he's out there with the crowd, and I go,
Yeah.
The DJ goes, anything you want me to play? I go,
Yeah,
yes,
Rock
I
the
do.
Boat.
I go, can you play Rock the Boat by, he goes, Hughes Corporation. He knew
Yeah.
exactly who it was. He looked it right up. And,
Yes.
And yeah,
I mean,
so we started singing that. And
we'll
we
never
weren't allowed
forget
back.
that, and that was quite a few years ago, and I'll
That
never
was a
forget
lot
the
of years ago. Yeah, we literally, the wrestler, people were
That's so
calling
cool.
into the auction to ask questions to the
Right.
wrestlers instead
They-
of
right.
bidding on stuff.
That's why
So they were like, "Yeah, you guys can't go."
That's really why they got mad, because they wanted to talk wrestling.
Right.
It
And
wasn't
they
for
just-
that.
and they wanted
Which is
to
probably
make
why
money.
we discourage a call-in
We
format.
were
Yes.
we were super entertaining.
We were.
So many people. I mean, it was a small local auction
yeah.
kind of thing. But I remember going into work and they were like, "We saw you on TV."
guys were great.
There was a news anchor there. I
wish
remember
I
I
would've
walked
saw
in with
that.
her on my shoulder, and it was
Nice.
such
We just really winged it. We just
Yeah.
all ad lib. There was nothing
Right.
planned. We didn't go in and say, "Hey, you know what we're gonna do?
Yeah.
I know they have a boat." We did nothing. We just did it.
Jeff, at one point, I remember he's talking, trying to sell this is right before we did Rock the Boat. He's talking about the boat or whatever. He's like, you can take your family canoeing or whatever, right? And he goes, and then he just stops. He goes, "Did you fart?"
Was it a canoe?
No. It was like a blow up raft thing, right?
yeah.
He just looked at me and goes, "Did you fart?" And I went right into the Rain Man. "Yeah, I farted. Yeah, I farted." They
No,
They didn't
not
like that?
like
they were
No?
no.
Yeah.
no.
They were not fans of us.
No.
The people though, they said there was
Even
one of the
though you were the
highest
best.
rated
Yeah,
ones
yeah.
that they
I
had.
They got a lot of
The
calls.
most
A lot of calls.
The most calls,
But not-
just nobody was
not
donating
donating
money.
money.
So they were like, "Yeah, you're not coming back." Can you imagine calling in
It was the Emmets.
and Jeff answering? I mean, Kevin answering the phone.
Wow. Hi.
How much money?
Yeah, that's it.
That's not enough. What's your address? I'm coming over. I'll
pick it up.
I'm coming to collect it. Yeah,
my box cutter.
I got my box.
Oh, you never know. You never know.
Here's another story about Kevin with a phone call.
Really?
I call him from a cell phone one time. I don't even know why I was calling him. I don't know what the outcome of the call was. I call him. I pick up the phone. I dial. It rings. This is what I get on the other end. "Hello, New Hampshire," because it says Nashville, New Hampshire coming through. I was just like, "What, Kevin?" He's like, "Oh, hello, New Hampshire." Again, I was just like. That's how he answered the phone. So Marshall, anytime I call Marshall now or text Marshall, he always texts me back. "Hello, New Hampshire." Yeah.
That's
Oh
awesome.
my goodness.
Let me tell a story here that I asked Wolfie for. Callahan never got back to me. So
He's busy.
But I got one from Jason Sanderson, Wolfie, the guy that hit the Powerball.
Hello, New Hampshire.
All right. He says, "Okay, I have a ton of Kevin stories, but I will try and limit it to one that you can use on the show. Kevin was always in charge of the 50-50 raffle for Jeff and on his own shows down in Peabody, the ones that, you set the building over
Yeah,
there.
the building over there.
Yeah, it's over there.
When I started running shows, I did the 50-50, Wolfie said. Kevin said, make sure you do it right. You split it 70-20. Kevin, I can't do that. I've got to play it honest. I understand totally, Wolfie. So I did the 50-50, and at the end of the show, he asked how it went. Did we do it your way, or did we do it my way? And Wolfie said, we did it my way, straight, 50-50 split. He gave me a look that would have scared God and pointed his finger at me and bellowed, I know you couldn't be trusted with something that important. You're never doing the 50-50 again. And I never did either, even on my own shows. It was supposed to be done 70-20, of course, was his reply. It was only much later when we were talking about it that Jeff did the math and said, what the hell has he been doing with the other 10%? Thanks, Wolfie.
70-20.
Yeah.
It is
Sometimes
funny.
he would announce it that way, too. He'd be like, it's time for the 60-40, 50-50.
Well, I got
Sometimes the end of the night, if it was light and he didn't like the way it was going, he'd just take the whole thing and walk out.
Yeah.
But most,
I guess we're not having 50-50
but
tonight.
most of the times it was 250 people there saying the jackpot's $12.
well,
you're like-
two guys are sitting there saying, I gave 10 and I gave 10.
$12.
In fact, my wife played it one. She said, I only got $15. I said, we paid Kevin tonight.
Yeah. He, the other thing with Kevin, too, is so he would get to Jeff's house sometimes, 9 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock in the morning. We would be there all day long. We'd go post, we'd go grab lunch, we'd go do whatever. We would watch wrestling afterwards. And then all of a sudden, 2 o'clock in the morning, not sleeping, he would just get up, he'd go into the bathroom, always had a comb, he'd wet it, comb his hair, and then just leave. Not even say goodbye, just leave. Just drive back home. Hated sleeping out. Yeah, hated it.
He was a New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Famer, too.
Yes, he was. Yeah.
He wrestled for Dino Bravo, where he teamed up with, he was actually Killer Kevin Carlson, and he teamed with Tony DaCosta for Dino
Yes.
Bravo up in Canada. Like I said earlier,
because Dino Bravo
he
didn't
was
want to
a
work with him
roommate of
anymore.
a young
Yeah.
Al Perez who probably, you're lucky he didn't quit the business, Al
Yes.
Perez.
Yeah. Kevin was a.
That can be said about a couple of people. Kevin encountered over the years.
How about the? So you're going to illustrate. I don't know if you do, but the tape on the ear.
I always know there was tape.
Yes.
But
So
I'm not
we're watching
asking.
I think
We're
you
watching.
did tell me.
Yeah,
that.
we're watching a match one time. I think it was him and
yeah.
Terry Adonis up in Al Tomko, and we're watching. And I look, I go, Kevin, why do you have tape in your ear? He goes, that's not me. I go, no, Kevin, that's you in the purple trunks, purple and gold boots. No. I didn't put that there. He said that was. So then he says, the donkey's not even mine.
What? Wait, what?
Oh,
So anyway,
What did I miss?
we were saying, so yeah. So we're watching. Kevin has tape on his left ear. Swears that it's not him that we're watching. Kevin doesn't even recognize himself from 30 years, 25 years ago.
Wow.
I look at Jeff. I go, yes. Again, that was Jeff's response to a lot of
Yeah.
things.
Look at all of
of
our
those
responses. A lot of
things.
times
Yeah,
people would
just
say,
like,
"What do you
you
think?"
don't
I'm
even
like,
know. You don't even know how to. You just go.
that was it.
He tried to teach. He would try to speak Carney to Betty. And just, oh my goodness.
How do you say the chicken one? How would you say
cheers,
that
I can
word?
fear, Zucker.
Yeah, the cheers that can feel Zucker.
No.
Okay.
They don't know. They don't understand.
Yeah, they don't know.
Unless Snoop Dogg's
G-rated.
watching. Unless Snoop Dogg. Snoopy Dogg. Yeah, Snoopy Dogg.
Snoopy Dog.
Yeah.
Oh,
Him
my
and Martha
God. Just-
Stewart.
I mean, you really could do hours and hours.
Yeah.
And talk to so many people that he was either in contact with or has touched some way, being on a show or just talking to him,
Or
listening
possibly
to him,
frightened.
frightened
Yes.
by him. Absolutely.
If you don't know who he is, I implore you to look up him and
Yeah.
Jeff Costa from Al Tomko's.
Right.
I don't even know what from Vancouver.
Just
from,
all-star wrestling.
All-
Yeah,
All-Star
All-Star
Wrestling
Wrestling
from
from Vancouver. Yeah.
Yeah, Al Tomko's, and just look up. There's Vern Siebert,
Yeah,
and
there's
there's
Dean Ho,
Dean
Terry
Ho.
Adonis.
Yeah,
Moondog Moretti.
Yeah,
Moondog
Moondog
Moretti.
Moretti.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dean Ho just passed away too. I
Dean Ho
think.
passed away. I think
last year.
Doug Verdi
Eric
was as well.
Froelich. Remember
Eric
because the
Froelich,
shoes?
yeah.
The shoes?
If you could see Bruiser Claus.
Oh, yeah. That's my favorite thing. I
Yeah.
swear,
There's a
that's
lot
the
of good
greatest
stuff.
thing, man.
You know, the
Bruiser
internet
in
now
a
is
cage.
Bruiser in a box.
look at
Bruiser in
stuff.
a box.
Bruiser in a
Box,
box.
Just so out there.
Right.
So you could see, like, when you start watching like Jeff shows, you're like, oh, this all, it all makes sense.
Yeah.
Like,
Right,
Yeah.
right.
yeah, it all makes sense. And then just so ridiculous.
We just
It's
all had
everything.
such a good
So
time.
yeah. So anyway, but I mean, really, I mean, Jeff was up in Vancouver, and he said, "Well, this isn't weird enough. I need to get Kevin up here."
Yeah.
Which he did.
so crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean, can you imagine being in? So at the time, it was
No.
like I said, Kevin and Mike Shaw, Bastion Booger,
Yeah.
driving down the streets of Salem together with other giant men like that.
Right,
You know what I
right,
mean? Just
right.
like, and apparently Mike Shaw would yell out the window some not so nice things,
Yeah.
and then people
Racial
throw-
things?
Yeah, maybe.
Probably,
Yeah,
possibly.
maybe.
Yeah.
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 He'd throw rocks. So the people would throw rocks at them in the cars and shit like that. And just that same trip to Canada, by the way,
Yeah.
Kevin was so excited to get in the room first so he could take a shit in the bathroom. And then, yeah, he was the first one in there, and he thought that
Was the greatest.
was the greatest
Was
thing ever.
was that the one with the communal
See, it was the
with the
first
communal
one to
hot
take a
tub?
number 2 in
Yes.
Canada.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait, what happened?
It had a you know, like the hot tub.
Like whirlpool.
Yeah,
Oh,
whirlpool.
yeah,
communal.
Yeah.
But he could. Oh, and he left the door open. He left not the bathroom door, but the door to the hotel room. So Jeff and I, after we checked in and everything, we're walking up. All you could smell
Yeah.
down the hallway.
Wow.
And then Kevin was just in his glory.
Right.
Thought it was the greatest thing ever.
I guess he got in the whirlpool, and there was a family in there. And, this is nice. This will drain out that carbuncle I broke in my leg. Really, you know, it's people getting out. What the?
Right.
He didn't have much of a filter,
Right.
which is okay.
He didn't have any filter.
because it was entertaining for
Yeah,
us
Right.
it was.
and everybody else. So
How would he say hi to the kids again?
Oh, I was going like this. He loved his brother. He used to bring his brother around, Danny, to all the shows, and his nephew loved his brother's
and
kids
his mother.
and his mother. He was, yeah, he was just like just. I mean, as far as I know, I think he still lived with his mom up
Yeah.
until you know he's 60 years old. never been married or anything like that. Just a family guy. Just loved family. I think he just loved the idea of still being around.
Just sad for the people that missed out on some things like that, just talking to him and seeing him and just watching. Again, I can't. Just watching was brilliant.
When was the last time you seen him? Honestly, do you remember?
I saw him at that. I think I saw him at that show in Peabody. At
one of Todd's.
Yeah, one of Todd's shows.
Yeah.
That was probably the last time I saw him.
Yeah.
It was too long ago.
Yeah.
Right.
Like that's the problem is you let these years go by and you just go, I'll catch him somewhere.
Yeah.
And then just then I'd make the attempt to catch him
And honestly,
late.
I think in the last couple of years, some of us have kind of made an effort to get back together, anyways.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of sad that didn't happen with him.
Right.
So I'm excited to hear that Rip's been away for a little while. It's been a couple years in Florida or whatever, and just to see that he's actually coming on here, I'm super pumped for because
So happy.
because that's one more step. That's another step closer to getting Jeff on here, to getting Bruiser on here. You know what I mean? Because
That'd be great.
If Rip comes on here and goes, yeah, it's a good time, so you better do a good job.
Right.
He'll tell Jeff that, and Jeff will be on. And I mean, Jeff's literally up the road.
I know.
So there's no reason for him to not be on. And
And then we'll crash the place.
yeah. Can you just one
No,
more
really,
night
I
at
need
Nashua
to
House
get
or
him.
something? Just
Yeah.
what a shit show that would be.
Pretty sure they throw us out.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
Saturday nights after the show, that's where you guys
That's
would
where
go.
we used to go.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nashua House.
Hey, what about you guys had cookouts with the wrestlers, right? And do you have like softball games and stuff? Did Kevin
That was that was after Wolf won the money.
Yeah.
And they were entertaining. Not so much for Kevin though, to be frank with
okay.
you. I'm
That was
not
just-
really gonna. There's not really a lot of good Kevin stories, and
Right.
I'm sure he did about 1,000 things I missed on them. But you
Yeah.
know, yeah.
Yeah. He Kevin's I don't even know how else to explain him. Just like I feel bad that the generation that's around now
Doesn't know
the
who-
generation
yeah.
that was
Don't know
15
him.
years
Right.
before us.
Don't know,
Right.
nor will they
Doesn't know
have anybody even close to
No,
comparable.
there's not going to be anybody.
They would drive a person like that out of a locker room now with
Yeah.
pitchforks
Yeah.
and torches.
And it's fun, Kevin is a common name, but in the wrestling circle of ours, all you say is Kevin. They know who you're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
which is-
Right.
So
For
how
our
much of an
group,
impact
it
has
was-
that made?
it's,
That,
Right.
You don't have to say Butcher Hughes, just say Kevin. They know it's Kevin. It's
There's
Kevin
going to be
here.
about
Yeah, he's here.
75 people that used to work for Jeff that are going to tune in to just watch this because of Kevin's stories.
Yeah.
Because he affected people that much.
Yeah.
And he was so funny and he was so kind and he was so scary and he was so just
He was
awesome.
all of those things.
He was just so he was like a maelstrom of chaos and it was awesome. I loved having
Good
him around.
chaos.
Right.
Most
Yeah,
talking about
absolutely.
that.
As wrestlers, we
Like
always
some
try
people
to.
you look at and go, they're insane. And like, that comes up with
Wait,
bad
you would
stuff.
say that?
No, you would say
people in general.
People in general, he's insane.
Yeah.
You would say that about Kevin. It was all good.
Right.
It was
You
like
know,
every
they say-
good thing about being
As
crazy.
wrestlers, we want to be bigger than life.
Right.
He truly was bigger than life. I mean, he was something special. He wasn't 8 feet tall,
Right.
but he was a big guy, but bigger with his spirit and everything else. Just-
And everything
I'm
he
glad
did.
to have
And
guessed,
everything
you
he
know what I
did.
mean, to
Yeah.
know who he is.
If anybody had any interaction with him, they were lucky. They were blessed to have that interaction with him because
and
One, they lived.
anybody who's ever met him has a story.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You didn't just
Yeah,
go.
I
You
had
didn't just
mine.
walk away from him and just go. Yeah, I met that guy.
No,
there was none of that.
It was an
Nobody's
impact
ever did that.
I met
immediately.
some guy named Kevin.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Immediate
Nobody's ever said
impact.
that.
No, sometimes you look.
No, you see
What
him at a
happened?
show, you would kind of watch him quite throughout the whole show. Not sitting there, you would do this.
Right.
But I mean, every once in a while, you'd be like,
Oh,
where's
yeah.
Kevin?
Oh, yeah.
Where is he
Yeah.
now? But he
that's
was,
crazy.
like you guys see, he was he really was, man.
Yeah.
I mean, every time I walked into that building, he had a smile and how you doing?
It was like somebody
Yeah.
gave
He
a.
just was
It
great.
was like somebody gave a
Really
friendly
was.
gorilla crack. He was
Yeah.
awesome. He really was.
So we should do this just like Kevin would do it. Right at the end,
Yeah.
Kevin would literally just ring the bell for the last time, the last
Yeah.
match, and then literally just leave everything and get up and just go. He would be done. He wouldn't even say goodbye to anybody.
We should do that.
I think so.
We
Just
all
have
get
to
up and just walk up.
just
and
walk
say-
off. Yeah.
All right.
Well, I mean, we still got a few seconds left,
Yeah.
but I think at this point, though,
I think that's a good idea.
You got a
How
bell?
about,
You literally would-
how about you guys?
oh, I'll ring the bell. Look, watch.
we don't have a bell.
Ding, ding.
You guys can go and I'll stay.
Perfect. I like for a good
Right?
tribute to Kevin.
Yeah.
What do we got?
Go.
7 seconds here.
Yeah.
You got a bell?
It was
I don't
awesome.
We
need
got a
one.
bell. We don't need a bell.
Dang.
Gloria.
Dang.
That's it.
Dang.
That's
Hi, guys. I hope you're enjoying the show. Listen, I could use a little help to grow my YouTube channel. So if you could please like, share, and subscribe, that's most importantly, subscribe. Send me a direct message And I'll give you a shout out here on the show. My YouTube channel is real simple. It's just my name, Leo Connors. Thanks in advance. Peace.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.